So today, we're going to be remodeling my bathroom on the other side of this wall that I have left derelict and unfinished for years. Behind me is an offering. This is a bunch of stuff here, mostly from Temu. There are a couple things not from Temu because, well, like this giant glass door right here for the shower, you can't really get that from Temu. All right, so really quick backstory. This building here was a commercial building. It was a party store for years. And then in 2020, when the market was crazy, I sold my old house and decided to build the back half into a new house. Basically, I got the bathroom running to where you would need it to be a comfortable bathroom. In other words, I did a total guy thing. I spent 3 days working on this beautiful custom shower, and then I did almost nothing else. So today, we're gonna start rectifying that problem and with a ton of Temu products. Guys, this is only about half of it. We have a vanity, we have a mirror, we have walls, we have just tons of stuff. All right, so disaster number one. So this shop light here has been my bathroom light for years. And it finally died, which has really got me in the mood to make this video and be like, you know what, it's time. It's time to finish it. It's time to clean it up. All right, so aside from the shop light, which was an absolute disaster, we can see here, I had a buddy of mine mount this door real quick. He had never done it before. We're gonna be fixing stuff like this. This door is not mounted correctly. It's supposed to be flush with the drywall. All right, now coming in. Sorry about the poor lighting, guys. Right now we're using a studio light. This is the first tile shower I've ever done. And we use this horrible thing. I very much dislike the shower curtains. So we have a glass door that's gonna be going on that. But I will say, I love the shower. As unfinished as the rest of the room may be. You can see up here, I didn't seal the drywall. I didn't finish the drywall. There were patches of wall straight exposed, but the shower itself has been going good for years. A little dirty right now. Now, moving into one of our main issues is the floor. So this bathroom used to end where these tiles ended. It was a very small bathroom in the back of this store, but we definitely have to level out the floors. This is where I did a cement patch where there used to be a brick wall. This was a very weird building. And then we're gonna be replacing this vanity. This was a $50 auction find. I built a little epoxy countertop for it, which turned out okay until I messed up the cut hole. And a little fun update, this is from Temu as well. As you can see, it did not last very well. Now, yes, guys, the wall, it's pretty disgusting. It was unfinished, and there are 2 kids who live in this house, so you know how it goes. One of my partial reasons for not finishing this room originally is this. So right here, this is a gas line, this is an electric line. They lead to an outside heater, and that heater heats the whole front half of the building and cools it. So I'm actually, instead of moving those, I'm gonna leave those there. I have a really cool idea for a slight drop down ceiling, but we'll get to that later. So, along with my horrible vanity, the sink is kind of barely hanging in there. The wood is cracked, and I can't close the drawer because I never cut out space for the actual drains. So checking out this wall here, you guys are gonna see it has this kind of weird wood panel board on it. That's because right behind this insulation is an insulated brick wall. So the insulation isn't crazy important. The brick does pretty good, but I still wanted something in here to kind of beef it up a little bit. So we're gonna be finishing off this wood paneling here, and then we have some really cool walling. Hopefully it's pretty cool, but that paneling is going to be covered with this faux fake wood stuff from Temu, which may or may not be horrible, might be awesome. That's why we're checking it out. We're gonna be covering that whole wall in it. And then last but not least, we have this section over here. As you can see, this is part of the original bathroom that I really just never did anything to. I'm gonna be custom building an entire cabinet for this whole side. And then of course, the actual shower itself and the glass door will not be from Temu, but most of the other stuff in this room will be, including the ceiling lights, the fans, the LEDs, because why not? So, sorry about the long intro. On that note, we're just gonna kind of get into it. Got the door back on. Now let's just hope through my little shortcuts it closes. Beautiful. Yes, this is a very dirty door. This was a shop first. We're going to be painting this as well.
Collaborated in perfecting paint. There was a problem. One of the years before, arguably, light bulb in the steam engine room. With access to over 17,000 classes. Promo link in the description below. We'll get 2 months for the first 500 people to click the link below. The book has been given the name The Voynich Manuscript after the man who found it. And so, the Voynich.
As we can see, the brick wall, total disaster. I took out the old frame that I had built because it was horrible. So the frame is used to cover in all this. These are the hot and cold water lines that pretty much run through most of the house. And then you have the one that goes to the outside, which I probably should buy a shorter rail for, but it won't be in the way, so it doesn't really matter. Well, as we can see here, the instructions say to drill through the holes. Well, guys, you let me know. You guys see any holes in that back mirror? Nope, me either. So, I mean, the unit looks great, but the instructions, completely wrong. So, this is going to be fun to line up, basically. Alright guys, we got the vanity up. Now, the previous vanity, the screws went in on top through this nice little bar up top. Made it super easy to install. This one has 4 screws on the back, 1 in each corner. They're kind of a pain. So, I measured, I got the top 2 lined up, and then the bottom panel is aluminum. So I drilled a small hole through the lower level and guided her in with 2 screws in the bottom. And now she is solid as can be. So next we got to do the wiring all the way around down. I'm going to put a power outlet over here and then we move on.
Okay, thank you. Are you okay though? Sergeant, he came around. Well, he said he took off one. There's 3 big punch bunch. There's 4 actually. Faced with the inhospitable state of the basement, the officers went came from bristle transmission fluid. However, through the back window, aware of his Miranda rights before getting to the
Alright, just finishing up our wiring. This is live, so this is the point where you gotta be nice and careful. I always like to test them before I put them in. But do as I say, don't do as I do. Now guys, this is near water, so this has to be a GFCI plug. And check this out. Boom. We got some lights. Now, it'd be really smart if these panels folded inwards. Then you'd be able to light your face a little better. They're not super bright. That's about as bright as they get. We're gonna have some nice overhead lights, so it'll be okay. It also has a defroster. All right, guys, we are just finishing up this white board here. Now, running into an issue I'm thinking there might be with this board. So, this board here is specifically designed to be anti-stick. So, I don't know if the peel and stick walling I have for this is actually going to work. So, we may have to primer this. Not a huge deal. We'll be okay. Also, guys, my beard is crazy. My bathroom's destroyed. A little hard to shave. Let's get back to it. All right, guys, the audio in here is going to be pretty horrible. Apologies in advance. Open bathroom, not a ton I can do at the moment. So, this is going to be one of our first Temu products we're going to be testing in this video. So, we're not just using products for the actual remodel. We're going to go ahead and use some tools. And guys, this is an interesting one. So this is a paint roller, as you can see. It has an opening because that's where the paint goes. No idea how good this thing's gonna work. Obviously, this is kind of a one and done kind of thing. I mean, thankfully they're super cheap, but once you use it, I don't know if there's a great way to clean it. I don't even know if I would try, to be completely honest. So let's try to pour some paint in this thing and primer up this wall. All right, so first attempt, we're gonna try to pour this in here somehow. I don't know. Unfortunately, this all-purpose Kills paint doesn't have one of them little funnel holes on top. That would be nice. So my idea is, it's not great. We're gonna use this cup here because, yeah, I didn't want to run a funnel to do this. This is certainly not one of my better ideas, but oh well. I do wish I had a smaller cup. Yeah, there 1000% has to be a better way to do this, but this is what we got for now. All right, found a slightly smaller cup. Again, guys, so far this is a bit of a disaster, but we're gonna give it a shot. That's kind of part of the point of the video, I suppose. Ooh, first thing I noticed, this thing's pretty hefty with all that paint in there. But the question is, will any of it come through? Well, on a quick note, I can say that this is already 10 times more hassle than just using a paint in a bucket. The idea is kind of cool, but the execution is freaking horrible. I looked back on the website, I looked at the order. They don't really have any good instructions on how the heck to do this. It is taking forever for paint to actually get into this thing. I think this one's gonna be a kind of a fail, guys. I might have to go right to the normal one already. We'll give this a couple more minutes. Let it set up. Maybe it takes a minute to soak in or whatnot, and I'm gonna go change my gloves and we'll go from there. All right, guys, it has been long enough for the paint to be mostly dry on this handle, and we'll test it out one more time. For those wondering, my gloves of choice are the Venom Steel. I bought these on a whim. I think it was on Amazon, and man, they are hands down my favorite gloves for house stuff, car stuff, you name it. These are my go-tos. Okay, here we go. Will it do anything? Guys, the time involved in this thing alone makes this thing horrible. This thing sucks. Don't buy it. This thing is trash. Now, just to point something out, guys, obviously if you're doing something like this, it would be a lot smarter to take everything out of the room. But since this is the main bathroom and it is being heavily used, well, I have to kind of do this in small partitions, if you will. This is just the primer. Haven't quite decided on the final color just yet, but we'll get there. And yes, that is plastic in my paint pan. All right, I forgot to pick up a new one, and time's of the essence, so we put a little bag in her and off we go. All right, guys, we're in my front room. That's supposed to be a shop. It's full of pallet stuff. You guys probably remember from one of the previous videos. So next up in the whole bathroom remodel, guys, we have to build the built-in shelf. Now, I have a lot of woodworking tools. With that said, I'm not much of a woodworker, but we're gonna give this a try. We're gonna see how it goes. There will probably be a lot of mistakes made, if you will. And I do own a Craig saw, but I can't find the track. So we're gonna be using this super cheap Pittsburgh clamp and cut edge guide. This should work just fine. We have pretty much all straight cuts, so pretty straightforward. For now, we're just gonna go ahead and get it all marked out, and then we will we'll start cutting here in a bit. A couple of the edges on this maple plywood aren't exactly perfect, but we have a square we're gonna be using, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. And some of the edges here, they're a little frayed from the factory cuts. Those can go up against the wall. You're not ever gonna see those. They're gonna have another piece of wood on top of them, so good to go. Oh, I love when things don't add up right off the bat. One side's exactly 61.5, the other side exactly 61.5. But the square shows them a little off center. I guess that is the problem with factory cut wood. Bright side is I noticed this piece was a little off when I got it. So with that said, I did talk them into a little bit of a discount. All right, guys, we are trucking along. So let me give you a quick update on what we have done so far. We have all of the boards covering this wall. Now, this is the wall that's going to have the fake wooden Temu accent pieces. So there is a really good chance that that stuff might look horrible, and we might have to remove, well, all of it. So you guys already saw that we had the mirror up. We do have the mirror's power going. Check that out. Not very bright lights, but they'll help. They'll help. And then, of course, it does have the built-in defroster, which is kind of a nice touch. Never had that before. Now, coming into the particle boards here, this stuff is melamine. I have tested to make sure that the new walling is going to stick to it without falling off. And you can see here we have a rough coat of mud on. So a lot of this stuff here was extremely uneven. Like, we had real big dips right here. So I kind of just had to cross-fill it, as well as up here as well. So the main idea of this stuff right here is we need it level for the fake wood stuff. Now, I'll give you guys a quick glimpse at that. So this is the fake wall stuff. It is double-sided sticky tape with a little bit of aluminum there, and it does come in very long rolls. It's a little bit longer than this as well, but the main idea is to cover this entire wall in that stuff right there. So we're still running into a couple of weird ideas. So this is gonna be my built-in. It's gonna go from this wall all the way over to this wall right here. But my problem is these water pipes coming in, I have nowhere to move them to. We have a cement floor, and behind this, we have 1 inch of insulation and then a brick wall. So I can't really run them there. So they're gonna have to be here. They're gonna have to kind of be built around somehow. I'm sure they'll turn out all right. Here behind the mess is the Temu vanity. So far, this thing's pretty awesome. Let's take a closer look at it. Now, this is just sitting here. This isn't mounted in any way. None of the plumbing is hooked up yet. We'll get to that here shortly. But if we come down inside, has the drawers, a bunch of accessories for mounting it, securing everything. It has a cutout for the drain pipe from the sink. Now, guys, this sink came with it. All the way from Temu, completely unbroken. Assembly took about 30 minutes. We have no idea how it'll hold up, but I like the way it looks. It looks very clean. It's going to fit in well with the aesthetic. Now, we did have to rebuild this whole pop-out wall. The whole purpose of this pop-out wall is to basically give those pipes a place to run. It gives our electricity a place to run with a full-size outlet that is GFCI as well. Whenever you're within a certain amount of inches of running water, be it a shower or a sink, you kind of got to go with that. But it's the smarter move anyways. And then it gives us this nice ledge to not only support, extra support for this vanity mirror, even though it's mounted to the wall, it wouldn't go anywhere anyways. But I have a really cool idea for this lip here and this. But you guys will have to stick around to see that later. Now, we haven't quite got started on the drop-down ceiling just yet. As you can see, it is still a disaster ceiling. But, guys, I think this is going to be really cool. I think it's going to turn out great. We do have most of this leveled. I'm going to have to come through, sand this right now, and then give it one more finishing coat to smooth out a couple of the rough areas, like right here, which was, well, it was my fault. As you can see, a piece of something got stuck in there, drug it through. But anyways, it was just a first coat anyways, not a huge deal. And if you guys want to speed up your sanding time, this is what I've been using. I use my Milwaukee Random Orbital. It works off the M18 batteries, and then it comes with this nice little attachment for a vacuum. Honestly, for this video, I probably should have picked up a lot more Temu tools. That would have been kind of a cool touch. I have been using this Temu hammer. I think this thing was like $6. It's a 16-ounce hammer. If you look closely, you can see that the molding isn't very smooth, but it works. I'm not having any issues. It even has that fancy little nail holder hammer and thing, but I haven't used nails for anything. I screw everything in here, so. All right, guys, we're installing here from this big ladder in this tiny room is the electrical. So we're gonna need 2 different lines running to the main overhead light up here, and then I'm gonna be putting the fan above the shower. This part of my attic right here is, we'll call it complicated. So if you look, there's the roof right there. Crawling in here, that's actually a very tiny space. So I'm actually hoping I can do the work from right here. Stick my head up through the hole and pull the wires where they need to go. And tomorrow, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be installing right over there above the shower. We're going to be putting the vent that goes outside, powered vent. Now that powered vent is going to go up through the roof. So we'll be drilling a hole in the roof too. That'll be a first for me. And then of course we have to figure out our ducting, how we're gonna run it to the ceiling. It's a little complicated with the drop ceiling idea, but it'll be all right. All right, guys, this is the Doin' Will's bathroom exhaust fan from Temu. I don't exactly remember what I ordered on this, so we'll just go ahead and open it up. Now, I do have one from non-Temu because this is a fairly important piece of equipment, so in case this one ever fails, I have a backup. But who knows, maybe this one's pretty awesome. Obviously, you know, we'll make sure to get prices for everything. If they're not on the screen, they'll be down in the description. So this one right here is going to go right up there in the middle. It's going to be offset a little bit because there's a stud dead center, but it'll be really close. That way it's going to be the highest point of the ceiling for getting the humidity out of here, and it'll be a dedicated light just for the shower. Because the lights that we're putting above us here are kind of a hexagon light. I don't know how well they're going to work, but we'll be digging into those real soon here in the video. Faceplate with built-in light, feels like glass. Now there are a ton of these on there that have like fancy Bluetooth LED settings, but the Bluetooth lighting I'm going to be doing, we're going to make it all custom, so I don't really want to mess with that with something like this. I just need this to be simple and work. I just want to check out this impeller, this little blower here. Doesn't feel like it has any play. Honestly, it looks pretty solid. I don't know how the heck this thing quite goes in there, but shouldn't be too bad. Well guys, welcome to the attic. So this used to be an old party store, like I said. So most of this stuff up here, aside from that one spool and that face mask and that hoe, I put those up here. Now the space we have to get to is way over there. But first, now yes, a lot of people might give me crap because I installed the ductwork. It is not insulated, but it works good. There's the main ductwork to the bathroom, and way over there in the corner is where we need to work. Oh, horrible. Yeah, okay, the attic wasn't gonna work. No way I could fit, so we just cut down part of the ceiling and went to work. All right, guys, we can see we have it screwed in on both sides, and it does have a built-in electrical box here. It'd be better if this was all the way in, but I'm gonna staple this all up later. It's gonna be fine. Overall, don't think I quite have it all centered yet, but once I do, it's looking pretty good. Nice panel, big gaps for the air to get in. On the side here, we're gonna have this doohickey right here. And this is going to be where our 4-inch hose connects. All right, guys, welcome to the roof. This is where we found our nail. This is the nail that I hammered through from the inside. This is gonna help us find where to drill our hole at, so. There we go, there's our hole to the inside. Essentially, that's gonna go right there. Now, I don't believe you have to put those nails in there, but I drilled a little bit larger hole than I needed to, so this is mostly for my own comfort. Alright guys, there's what our install looks like from the inside. Pretty good if I do say so myself. Now we just gotta get her connected. Nice and easy, check that out. Beautiful. Alright guys, after a fun day of wiring around all of the junk, cutting a hole in the roof, we now have the magnificent power of light. The fan itself is pretty quiet as well. This is the Temu one right here, guys. Let's get a closer look. The light is extremely bright. Right up here is the actual install. Looking nice and sealed. Now we can close all this back up. All right, guys, time for a quick update. We have some of our last coats of mud on. This is finishing mud. We have the wall and the ceiling finished. And then check this out. This is my weird little contraption here. This is gonna hold the drop down ceiling. It's gonna mount to that. It might be a little overbuilt, might be a little underbuilt. There's probably 1,000 ways you could have done it better, but this is gonna work great to keep the gas line, electric line up, out of my way, and give us some really cool lighting effects. So here we have ourselves a 3-way switch. Main light, and then 2 other lights. We'll get to those later. But let's just say they run to that plug, and that plug is on 2 different switches. Then, of course, we have the ductwork that'll be going into the second drop-down ceiling area. All right, guys, we are going to try to paint our door now using this electric spray gun from Temu. It says it's good for latex paint, wood paint. We got some latex paint here. We went with the Rust-Oleum semi-gloss. Lots of different color. Got ourselves a little paint pourer. Instruction manual with a whole bunch of extra nozzles. This is red, guys. No way. Hold on a second. No way. Oh, that's awesome. All right. We have already prepped the door. We did a bunch of degreasing. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean. This is supposed to be kind of a dual all-purpose coverage type of deal. Off we go. Guys, and I do have to say, look at how messy this project is. Holy cow. My sander setup with the vacuum kind of quit working. And I need to get this bathroom finished because, guys, this beard is getting crazy. And this is where I have to shave. It's not going to work too well right now. Also, I don't know those who remember, but this little Temu fan has been absolutely killer for removing dust. I mean, this thing is awesome. Here, I'll show you guys a little how it works. Check this out. These little turbo fans are super cool. All right, guys. So today we're going to be working on installing the new wall. As we can see, it's pretty thin and it has kind of a metal shine to it, and then this plastic. So when you peel this plastic off, it's really, really sticky. We did test a couple of pieces before up here on the wall. That's how we knew we had to go through and flatten it. So if you look, you can see there's drywall mud on here where I had to flatten it. I didn't get it perfect because it didn't seem like it needed to be. Also, yes, beard's getting a little crazy. We're not shaving until this project is done, guys. We have this started. Now, this stuff creases so easy. But check this out. Got ourselves a dusty little heat gun here. Let's go ahead and see how it works. Now, my main concern with that is if we look from an angle, it almost looks like it was melting the surface, but I'm going to give it a little bit of chance to dry. If not, I may have to redo, well, this whole piece. Seems like my roll it down and cut it out philosophy might not be working so great. This might be a much better measure and cut and then put up kind of deal. So we're going to do the next strip. We're going to keep rolling and we'll see how it comes out in the spots that I heated it. Okay, pre-cutting it, putting it on makes a lot more sense. I mean, that is in the instructions, so I probably should have done that in the first place. So I think it kind of did melt, but for now it doesn't bug me, but we're going to get the rest on, and if this piece sucks, well, we're going to pull her off and replace it.
The fucking company tow truck.
All right, guys, another day, another time in the bathroom. Now we're working on the ceiling. Got our cardboard insert up there. We have to cut it out for our nice little ceiling vent. Now, ceiling vent is not from Temu, but this mask is, and I've had it on for about 30 seconds. It's not looking good so far, guys. And you'll notice the walls are now slightly different color. Guys, we got some things happening. We're moving right along. So let's cut this hole out, try to sort it, and guys, we're getting to the end of this project. I'm pretty hyped. And here is my mask. It's gonna fog up in about 5 seconds. If I don't breathe, I think it's okay. I just have to not breathe. Simple. All right, guys, everything's looking nice and clean in here, as we can see. It's a bit of a disaster, but on the bright side, check this out. See that little glow? Ooh, we got some of the ambient lighting going. Now, the ambient lighting has shown me one thing I really screwed up on. Let's take a look. I messed up this ceiling pretty bad. There are marks everywhere, so I need to sand this back down. I need to put a nice layer of mud on it. Somehow I missed a lot. Like, check this out. There, I didn't even notice that. Without the proper side lighting, when you're doing drywall, sometimes it's really easy to miss some pretty obvious things. So, just added another couple hours of work. Let's do it. All right, guys, we have our stuff laid out right here. I have picked the edges that are going to be going facing forward. So we have ourselves some edge supply, edge banding. Bought ourselves a little iron here. Now, I know a normal iron will work for this, but I thought I might as well use the right tool. Then we have this. This is one of the more recommended edge band trimmers right here. We're going to be using this to trim up the edging. Looks like it has a couple of blades inside of there. Then we picked ourselves up a roller. Let's see, the roller is J roller from Fulton. Again, this one had pretty high ratings. It's just going to kind of help us mold the banding in once we get to it. I've never done edge banding before, but honestly, it doesn't seem too bad, so we're just going to jump right into it. So what I'm doing so far is I cut out the edge banding. I got it lined up a little bit over the edge so I can trim it off, and then I just put a little bit of tape on there. We have the iron heating up right here, and then we're going to just iron it on. Sometimes instead of learning how to do things the proper way, I like to just try it. It's kind of my DIY lifestyle mentality, I guess. That is pretty satisfying. Now we're going to try one more trick I did see on one of the woodworking channels I've seen a couple of times. They just kind of take this and they just lightly edge it over. So it's pretty hard to see in here, but when you kind of round the edge over, it blends it a lot more. So we're going to go ahead and run that along the whole thing and see how she looks. Oh yeah, that looks so cool. I know it's really hard to kind of see, but I just think it looks so neat. It looks so professional, like it was supposed to come that way. Pretty cool. All right, guys, we are on our 5th run to Home Depot. So I'm building this cabinet for the end of the bathroom for the remodel, and it's kind of a built-in sort of thing. Now with a built-in, it's going from wall to wall, so the tolerances are pretty tight. here's the problem I ran into. After I got the whole first set of boards cut, I went to test fit them and measure them, and I was, comparing them like left to right, make sure they were all the same thickness, and none of them were. Not a single one was squared. It was a nightmare. But I sanded them all down, got them smooth. They're still going to work. The wood's not ruined. But then I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So, problem number one, I'm using a Milwaukee saw, handheld, battery-powered saw, not a table saw. Unfortunately, the spacing I have doesn't quite work for it. And I'm using a square and a couple other things to get my lines and measurements. So I went back, I looked. All of my cuts were perfectly on the line. So then I tested the square. And the darn square is, well, it's not square. So just a quick note, I'm actually on my way to Home Depot to buy another one because I got a bunch more cuts to make. Just double check your tools sometimes, guys. The aluminum squares with the rivets in them can sometimes just get out of mark. So every once in a while, it doesn't hurt to check them out. So I'm gonna go to Home Depot and we're gonna get back into the building. All right, guys, after 4 weeks of work, nights, weekends, days, here and there, here is the finished, almost finished, mostly Temu bathroom. Alright guys, this is it. So let's talk about it a little bit. What I like, what I don't like, and what I recommend you guys should pick up from Temu, as long as the prices still stay pretty reasonable. So first off, behind me, this is from Lowe's. This is one of the not from Temu items. $280 on clearance, guys. If you have a Lowe's near you, don't sleep on Lowe's. They have tons of good deals all the time. Their clearance section is pretty crazy. It's kind of spread throughout the store, but if you're doing any kind of remodel, guys, it's always worth a look. Now, the shelves behind me, admittedly, not from Temu. I built those from scratch. It was kind of one of my first woodworking projects. I really like how it turned out. I'm going to be honest. It turned out way bigger than I ever expected. Now, one of the things that are from Temu. This glass vanity is awesome. Crystal clear mirrors, 3 nice solid doors, lower shelving. The biggest thing in the room from Temu is the walls. Given, if you look carefully, right here, you can see a ledge. The walls behind this were not perfect without tearing down brick. That was as close as I was gonna get. I accepted that and I'm okay with it because I'm not here for perfect, but I want it to be kind of awesome. Now, next up from Temu, that light. These are the hexagon lights made for garages. They come for like 30 bucks with enough to make 5 of these circles, but one of them in here is the most amazing light ever. Super easy to install. It looks modern, it looks clean, it lights up everything perfectly. Coming in next was the bathroom vanity itself. Very large drawers with cutouts inside for the sink. It came with a drain, given this drain came with the new Temu faucet here. and it matched a little bit better than the silver one that came with it. Yes, this is ceramic. It all came together just like this. It sits up off the floor a little bit. It gives you some space. It looks clean. It looks new. It did not come with the toilet paper holder here. That is a set that also came from Temu. They came with the towel holder, another towel holder, and 2 hooks. But when it comes to these walls we were talking about a second ago, putting them on is pretty much a piece of cake. You just want to get the wall as flat as you can. And I love the look of these things. It's a really cool color. Somehow it makes wood paneling look modern. I can't quite explain it, but I like it. Now, speaking of things that were Temu, we have our Surround Glow light. That light was originally Temu, guys. But that light almost caught on fire. That one was pretty sketchy. It was super hot all the time, and then randomly it started flickering, and when I finally went to check it, it had a whole bunch of burn marks in the strip. So that one was a little sketchy. We did switch these out to Govee. Not sponsored, they didn't send them over, I just bought them. Most of the lights in my recording area are from Govee because I like the way the app works and everything just kind of links together. It makes my life easy. There's tons of good brands out there, but if you're looking for a safe, reliable, bright LED, you know, it's worth checking out. The next thing from Temu, guys, I did just put in, because I didn't want them to get all dirty, it's this nice rug set. Now, these are meant to wring out water really well, but they are new. I haven't really gotten a full test on them. That's going to be one of the things I will update you guys on in the comments later. There's going to be a couple of those things. So let's talk about the reason I made this video, and then I'm going to tell you how much this entire bathroom remodel costs with a breakdown. So I didn't make this video just to buy some cheap Temu products. I use Temu products to do it because, well, as much as we all hate to admit it, they tend to sell some pretty decent stuff if you know what to look for. I did this project to show you, the viewer, that even if you're not a professional, I'm not a professional. If you look at some of the close edges, that'll be pretty obvious. But I think this turned out pretty amazing, and I did it in my spare time while the room was still being used, because you can too, guys. So next time you want that bathroom remodel, skip paying somebody $20,000, $30,000 for something somewhat similar. Just give it a shot. Just remember, everything that you do in a house, you can change later, you can fix. Now, almost everything. You know, don't mess with plumbing, don't mess with electric, and don't mess with load-bearing walls if you don't know what you're doing. At least the electrical I ran myself, I am a professional with that. So let's stay within the realm of safety, but believe in yourself, guys. You can do this. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to have a ton of tools. You could do everything I did here with a screwdriver and a handsaw and an iron, because with these wooden edges, which I love this touch. I love that I brought the same wood in here. You do have to put the edge banding on with the little iron. All right, so right here on the screen, guys, this is the part of the video where I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna add it all up when I'm editing. This is what I paid for the entire remodel, and I'm gonna put how many hours right up here. This is the total hours. This is the total spent. So if you guys enjoyed this video and if you wanna see more like this, please do me a favor and let me know. I have a bunch of project ideas in mind, but whether or not I'll put them on video all depends on you guys. If you guys like this and you want to see more of this, I really need you to let me know in the comments. Plus, do you like it? Do you think it turned out good? Do you think it was a waste of my money? What would you have done differently with any part of it? All right, guys, on that note, that's going to be the end of this long video. I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one.